Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm Jonathan from Team Card Fighters, Great Card Fighters, and today I'm going to be doing a Granblue deck profile. The first grade 3 that I run is King of Demonic Seas Baskirk. His skill is if you have 10 cards or more in drop zone, he gains plus 5,000 and a crit. Secondary skill, Act, is Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1. Choose a card from drop zone, Superior Call it to a rear guard, and you gain plus 5,000 for each grade. So if you have a grade 3 that you call, and 10 cards and drop, he gains plus 20,000 in a crit, making him base 32, so he does swing for pressure, especially at 4 damage. The next grade 3 I run is 4 copies of Skull Undead, Skull Dragon. He's your main beat stick at a deck. For every card in drop, that's plus 2,000 to his power, and he cannot be normal called, but he can be road and superior called with Baskirk skill or Night Mist skill, or even Evil Shade if you run him. And they both have the Protect gift. The final grade 3 I run is Violent Flanger. Violent Flanger is your guard resist card. His skill is during act phase once per turn. Soul Blast 1 grade 3. Discard as many cards as you want from your hand. He gains plus 5k, and he seals off your opponent's perfect guards. So that means that also whatever cards you discarded, they cannot guard with those grades, and if they're running a Protect clan, their Protect markers do not work against his attack. So he's great, but he's definitely a one of. Now for my grade 2 lineup. I run 3 copies of Ruin Shade. Her skill is when you have 10 or more on drop, she gains plus 4,000 when you attack. Mill the top 2 cards of your deck, and she gains plus 4,000. It's a good card, but it becomes less necessary once you reach 10 and drop. So it's good for early game pressure, and it's good for getting your drop zone the way you want it. But it's definitely a 3 of, because running 4, you run into too much, and you run the potential of milling things that you shouldn't be milling and decking out. Next grade 2 I run is 4 copies of Commodore Blue Blood. Commodore Blue Blood, if you have a copy of him in the drop zone, he gains plus 4,000. If attack hits while he's on rear guard, retire him, draw 2 cards and discard 1. So he's great for hand filtering and for boosting up your hand for your defensive turns. The next grade 2 I run is 4 copies of Captain Night Mist. His skill, Counter Blast 1. Superior call a grade 1 or less unit from drop zone. If you have 10 or more, you can call a unit regardless of grade. So he's good for boosting up your field and making columns. Not really much else. As for my grade 1s, of course I run 4 copies of Dandy Guy Romario. He's good for your first ride and for boosting. If you ride onto him during your first ride, when you ride again, Counter Blast 1, shove 1 card from your hand into your soul, and mill the top 3. Choose a card from your drop zone, add it back to your hand. So if you happen to mill a Baskirk with his skill, you get it to hand, and now you have your main grade 3 that you want to ride in your hand. And after 10 cards in drop, he gains plus 4,000, making him a 12k booster. So he's pretty good. I also run 3 copies of Norman Ghosty. His skill is retire himself. Middle top 2, give something 10k. He's good for boosting up your drop zone and letting you call something else while something already has another 10,000. He's also good for the early game where you want to get 10 and drop quick. My next grade 1 is 2 copies of Evil Shade. His skill is Counterblast 1, find 2 cards and a drop with the same name, bind 1, call the other. He's good for if you already use Basker's skill to call a Skull Dragon, you can bind another Skull Dragon and call the other for more pressure. And if you're going against something like OTT or Kagero, or any clan that likes to stack up their hand, then this is great because you apply more pressure and it's still an 8k booster. And my final grade 1 of my deck is 4 copies of Dancing Cutlass. Dancing Cutlass has a drop zone skill, bind itself, call another to field, mill 1, and countercharge 1. So this is great for having a booster in your field in situations, countercharging 1, so that you're able to use more skills. As for my trigger lineup, I run 4 of the Draw PGs. Gus Jin. He has the perfect guard skill Sentinel. When he's placed on Guardian Circle, discard 1, and the unit cannot be hit. It's good. It gives you draw power. And it's just better than Retreat Francino, in my opinion. My next triggers would be the 4 heal triggers. And it's vanilla. They don't have effects anymore, so yeah. But 20k base shield, so it's pretty good. And I do run 8 crits. This deck doesn't really need the draw triggers, and the crits give pressure, making it even more imperative to guard your Vanguard. Or the guard. Or if you give a crit to Skull Dragon, now he's even more of a threat. Especially late game. And my starter, Guiding Zombie. He's the when rolled upon, draw a card. Just like every other starter they happen to have as of now. And as you know, this is Granblue, so this is a protect deck. So I do run 4 of the Baskirk protect markers. You can also run the regular one, but Baskirk just looks better for a Granblue deck. Thank you. This has been Jonathan from Great Card Fighters, and see you around.